You pause with a cold metal door handle in your hand, and the room is already full of small conversations. Everyone is talking, but none of it has a place for you yet. Why can a crowded hobby room make the quiet part feel louder instead of smaller? Sometimes the loneliest moment is the first minute after you arrive. Across the table, the glossy corner of a name badge catches the light while people pick up a joke that started before you got there. How can you be standing right beside them and still feel outside it? You are physically included, but the timing is still closed. You can be in the circle and still feel parked at the edge. At the sign-in table, you press a thumb against a paper wristband, curling upward while someone says, "Grab any seat." Is that welcome, or is it just permission to sit near people who already belong to each other? Every empty chair seems to have an invisible owner. The room is open, but the history in it is not. Being allowed in is not the same as being carried in. In the window light, an empty folding chair looks simple, but arrival is rarely simple. Hobby groups often run on rhythm, and a late entrance can land like a small interruption, even when nobody means harm. The seat is open, yet the moment is not. A room can be friendly and still have no opening. You notice dry marker dust on the whiteboard tray as the lesson starts, and it says something plain. A shared activity gives people a topic, not always a place. The hobby fills the table, not always the distance. Near the sink, clay slip dries on your knuckles while you set down the crooked bowl you made at home. Why can a class built around the same interests feel more exposing than comforting? Tool names move quickly, advice moves faster, and suddenly your small mistake feels public. You laugh once, pack up early, and talk less than you plan. Sometimes skill talk becomes a wall before it becomes a bridge. Under the table, a scuffed sneaker toe taps once while three people laugh at a story from last week. That easy laughter was built over repetition, not magic. If you miss the earlier layers, today can feel like page 7 of a book already in motion. What feels casual to them can feel sealed to you. Along the floor, a strip of fluorescent tape marks where to stand, and the rule underneath it is easy to miss. Why do some rooms feel harder the more organized they are? Groups do not only reward interest, they reward visible timing, steady return, and small signs that say, "I know the pace here." In group spaces, silence is often misread as no signal. Outside the building, the phone glass stays cool in your palm while you replay the last 2 hours in fragments. You said enough to be present, but not enough to feel held there. That is why the drop afterward can feel sharper than the event itself. A partial connection can ache more than none at all. On the path, a damp sleeve seam brushes your wrist while the running group begins moving before you fully settle into pace. Why does the edge feel sharper when the activity itself keeps going? Pairs form without discussion, the speed evens out ahead of you, and even the encouragement sounds like it belongs to names you do not know yet. When a group moves fast, uncertainty gets left behind with the slowest person. A lanyard clip flashes against a zipper, and that tiny shine works like a signal nobody announces. People often trust whoever looks settled first, whoever reaches for tools without hesitation, whoever speaks as if they have already been chosen. That shortcut feels natural in a group, even when it misses the real person entirely. Ease becomes a shortcut, even when it says nothing real. On the sign-up desk, a stack of flyers bends at one corner, while everybody looks equally calm from far away. One person is resting, another is bracing, and the room cannot tell which is which. Shared space does not guarantee shared safety. In the cafe glow, you watch a coffee ring drying on the saucer while your book stays open to the page you marked. You finally have something to say, but the discussion jumps. Another voice lands first, and the moment closes without anyone noticing. Can you be liked and still feel unseen? Later, someone smiles and says it was nice to have you there. Politeness can warm the surface while the center stays cold. A camera screen throws a pale glow across one cheek as people lean together for the recap photo. The image will later look like proof that everyone shared the same night in the same way. But pictures flatten hesitation, and the edge disappears even when you spent the whole evening trying to find where to place your hands. The picture can confirm a night you never fully entered. Beside the pieces, a puzzle box lid sits slightly warped, and that small bend explains more than it seems. One person came for the hobby itself, another came hoping the hobby would open a door into real closeness. Both can leave with something but not the same thing. When the need is different, the same room lands differently. In a dark corner, the unread badge glows on your phone while your thumb hovers over a message draft. Is sending something now a way back in, or would it only prove you were already waiting outside the signal? The chat keeps moving without asking for you, and that makes each minute feel heavier. The longer the silence grows, the heavier the send button feels. At cleanup time, a plastic score token presses against your pocket while you stack cards and gather empty cups. Nobody asked you to do the small jobs, but small jobs are easier than stepping into a cluster that already formed by itself. You stay useful, you stay moving, and you quietly avoid the risk of not being welcomed into the next conversation. Doing a job can protect you from rejection, but it can also hide you. Near the exit, coat zipper teeth catch the light while two chairs stay angled toward each other after the official end. The clearest signs of belonging are often not the big ones. Sometimes the edge shows up in the tiny choices that happen after the event, when plans continue, items get shared, and nobody has to ask who goes where. Belonging often shows up in the tiny after moments. On a side table, the rim of a paper cup softens as the ice melts and the room thins out. Public loneliness is not always worse because people were cruel. More people can make the missing part easier to see. At the bus stop, paint flakes from the bench under your sleeve, while one other person from the workshop sits down beside you. Why can 2 minutes outside help more than 2 hours inside? The group has ended, the pace is slower, and one plain question about your project finally gives you somewhere to stand. Sometimes connection enters quietly after the event is over. By the register, receipt paper curls near a warm cup, while two people keep talking after everyone else has packed up. This is why hobby groups can still matter, just not in the way they are usually sold. The real opening often happens in repeats, side tasks, borrowing a pen, walking out together, and the quiet little moments nobody advertises. Belonging usually starts off to the side. Your hand slides along a cool stair rail on the way down, and the choice becomes clearer. Which groups actually leave room for a signal from someone who arrives slowly? Smaller formats, slower rhythms, and simple repeated rituals usually make more space than high-energy rooms that never pause. The best signal is not excitement, it is room to arrive. Halfway home, the tote bag strap pulls at your shoulder while you replay only one useful goal for next time. You do not need instant chemistry with the whole room. Learn one name, stay 10 minutes longer, ask one plain question, and let the rest build at human speed. You do not need the whole room to soften at once. At your desk, a membership stamp fades on your wrist under the lamp, and the meaning of the night shifts a little. If a hobby group made you feel worse, it may have exposed a gap rather than created it. The quiet fact is that feeling alone in a crowd is painful, but it is also information.